Hello, it's April 1. It's Tuesday. We're turning down the epidemic just a tad. Epidemic. Sound instrumental or royalty-free streaming music so that we're streaming and then we're restreaming. We're restreaming it. It's royalty-free. And just so you can see what's going on here. It's, hello. Yeah, there's the time up in that very corner. Right there, yeah. 8:04. We have some strong sunlight. Hold on a second. Can't close the doors all the way or else Kino, our not aggressive, but our very protective boy cat, will start whining and scratching at the door. You gotta keep all the doors open around here or else that boy roams around, cruises around, wondering what's going on. Anyway, it's April 1st, and there we go, 5 minutes after 8. So, we have elections in Florida and in, what do you call it, Wisconsin, because certain members either were put on the cabinet, resigned, put on the cabinet, and then withdrawn. So then they're out. Like the first choice for Attorney General, which I think Pam Bondi is a good one because she's she's not because you don't according to Trump. And according to everyone that has any kind of reasonableness to them, you pick people because you think they're the best that you can get your hands on. You don't mind, may I have a little sip of there? You notice we have our new layout here. I'm on the wrong side. Let's change that. We're going to swap cameras. There we go. I'm over here where I belong. And then we have this over here on this side. But I like being on the right of middle. There's the middle, and I'm right of middle. Really, I'm not a hard writer. No way. To me, hard right is just as obnoxious as hard left. You got to be, I believe everybody that needs help should get it from one of the strongest countries in the world, supposedly. Yeah. So, turn up the brightness on this a little bit just so you can see the elapsed time. A little clearer. There we go. There we go. Oh, I can push this over. There we go. Don't want you to miss. You get the hours, minutes, and seconds. I have a lunch at 11:30 at Houston's. So at 11 o'clock, I gotta be all cleaned up and ready to go. Yeah. So I've revised some of my numbers. You remember, Dolch has determined that, let's see, there it is. We can see that. I may have to All right, facts. The Dolch people have looked at, reviewed over and over again that there are 15 million people over the age of 120 that are currently receiving Social Security benefits. So, if you see number 1 down below, I got number 1 and 2 down below. Number 1 says the Department of Justice should pursue whatever litigation is necessary to stop the payment of Social Security benefits to the 15 million people that are over the age of 20. And if there are a few that are actually over the age of 120, prove yourself. We don't think there are any. They're not we. Dolch. Elon Musk's team. And he's got a real strong team. If you watched the Bret Baier show, you can look it up. It's actually been replayed on YouTube Live, so you can go to YouTube and do a search on Bret Baier's interview of the Dolch Committee of 8. He had 8 people, 5 in the back row and 3 in the front row. And the other 7 people are not teenagers, with bones in their noses, that he just dragged off, some street somewhere. These are highly accomplished entrepreneurs, if you will, that have their own businesses. They've taken a leave of absence till at least May. I think I read an article where Elon is planning on stepping out of his Dolch role in May, because then they would have completed the preliminaries of how to optimize this, government size and so forth. Now he just, there are about 100 people in this Dolch exercise of auditing some of these agencies, and he just recommends to the secretary of whatever, there are like 16 secretaries of, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of this, Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of that. I mean, this is a big job, the Secretary of Health and, Human Services. There's millions of people, that are involved with that. Between the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Secretary of Defense, you're covering, 3.5 million government people. I think there are 4.5 million people in the government right now. Now they recommend to the Secretary of whatever, to trim out all the recent hires, and do what you got. Rather than this constant expansion, like some cancer. You don't have to keep feeding the beast. Everyone just needs to bear down and get back to work. You're not allowed to work at home anymore. Forget that. Where you're putting in a 4-hour day and the rest of the day you're playing with your 1-year-old. Yeah. I mean, you want to play with your 1-year-old, that's fine. But not at $45 an hour that the taxpayer is paying. Or whatever. A lot of these people are making, $120,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. That's serious money. That's $50 an hour. Okay, you can do the math. See how much the annual income is at $50 an hour. At 270 days of work in a 5-day week. Okay, here's my new fact sheet. This is based on these very competent people that have teams of like 12. 8 times 12 is 96, right? So if you got 8 people with 12 people, 8 people that are managing 12, that's 96 people. And some of the members of the 8, well, all the members of the 8 are very successful business people. Like, how about the head of Airbnb? The founder of Airbnb is there. He was sitting, in the back row, second from the left side. Anyway, they've looked at and re-looked at that there are 15 million people over the age of 120 currently receiving Social Security benefits. That's a fact. B, we're looking at this page I got right here, which I prepared a couple of days ago. As soon as I heard about 15 million people over the age of 120, I said, what? So then I went to the Social Security Administration and asked it through chat, PPT, what is the average 2004 average Social Security monthly benefit? It came back and said, I rounded it down to $1,800 a month. It was slightly higher than that, but I just kept the math simple. So we have a couple of zeros there. $1,800 a month is the average benefit. Okay? And so if you multiply that by 12, that's $21,000 a year. That's the average. I rounded that down also. Because if you multiply 18 times 12, it's slightly higher than 21,000. But I rounded it down to 21,000. That's the average annual Social Security benefit paid to whoever, to the whole bunch of 65 million people getting Social Security benefits. All right. Now remember, there are 15 million here that are over the age of 20. So if the Social Security Administration is saying there's 65 million, there are really 50 million that are entitled, not 65 million, because these 15 million, we got to turn that off. All right, well, let's just figure out how much we're paying. So if you got 15 million people, I'm on D now, and the number, that's the number of deceased Social Security recipients over the age of 120 who are currently receiving $21,000 a year in annual benefits. Now they're dead, okay? Because I don't think we have anybody that is actually over 120. And if there are, maybe there's 2 of them. And step forward and we'll turn your benefits back on. $21,000 a year in annual benefits times 15 million people. What do you got? 315 billion a year is being paid out to deceased people. So the surviving spouse, if there is one, is committing a felony, because whoever is the executor to the estate, the survivor, if it's a married couple, or whoever the executor of the estate is when said Social Security recipient, when they die, you're supposed to turn off that benefit. We're not allowed to pay it to dead people. Okay? So in theory, there's 15 million people. There needs to be litigation pursued and, something sent to the Social Security Administration saying, stop, no more payment to those 15 million people. And the Doge should immediately pursue litigation against the spouses or the estates of the 15 million Social Security recipients that are over the age of 120 who are fraudulently receiving, $315 billion a year in Social Security benefits. I'm reading number 2 on the very bottom. Now, how do we figure that out? Immediately subpoena the bank records for which the accounts are being automatically deposited into. I mean, I get my Social Security benefit, gets credited right to my account. Well, who are the signatories on that account? Now, if that's been going on for 10 or 15 years, and that particular family unit or whatever, oh my God, did we not turn that off? And they go to the account and they say, oh my God, there's $400,000 in that account. So the DOJ should say, you give complete restitution in 24 hours, or we are pursuing and we're going to start seizing your assets unless you make arrangements to reimburse the Social Security Administration for the funds that were fraudulently received into that account. Now, if you haven't taken any money out of that account because Uncle Louie died and we didn't realize, that no one turned that off, just pay the Social Security Administration back. So in theory, if you got, over the age of 120, holy crap, that means for the last 10 or 20 years, figure that person lived to 100. I'm averaging down. So if the guy really died at 100, and we've been paying it, and now he's 120, that means we've been paying it for 20 years. Well, do the math, 20 years times, 21,000, that's 400,000 rounding down. So in theory, if they just forgot about it, there should be 400,000 in cash sitting in that bank account. Now, I asked my branch manager de jour, Marilyn, my wife of 40, we've been together 45 years. How about that? We have given each other our lives together for 45 years. That's unbelievable. How lucky am I? Yes, sir. Well, she is branch manager extraordinaire. And I said, Marilyn, now let's just pretend you're the branch manager of someone who has an account. And month after month, Social Security benefits go in there. There's no other activity other than maybe you guys charging, $10 a month or $15 a month in service fees, to house that money and to provide them monthly statements electronically or in paper. And this goes on for year after year after year. Would you ever show cause to contact the signatories on that account and say, oh, by the way, do you guys realize your account balance is $410,000? She said, no, we wouldn't do that. We'd just be a happy institution, with that kind of a deposit relationship in a checking account. Yeah, oh yeah, we'd love that. Or it could be a money market account. And no, we wouldn't have any reason, cause, or otherwise to contact said person because, you send out the information, and if there's interest on that account, we'd send, the required IRS form showing what the interest received in that account was, which would be, a nice little bonus on there. That would bring that account balance up to, 20 years. You could bring it up another $30,000, $40,000 in interest. Anyway, For argument's sake, I'm just saying it's like 410,000 and maybe 450,000. Would there be any reason to call that client? 19 years later? She said no, actually, it wouldn't. That kind of an account wouldn't pop up on our list. We might have tried to call them and say, "Thank you very much for your sizable cash account with us." No, there wouldn't be any reason to contact them because they wouldn't show up on any. If it was overdrawn, we'd call them, say, "You got a negative balance." But if it keeps growing up over 400,000 or whatever, no, we wouldn't call them. But the DOJ could certainly subpoena the bank records and find out who the signatories are, and tell them to reimburse the Social Security because that money should not have been paid for the last 20 years. So please send the money back to. You can create a cashier's check and mail it to us, or you can wire the money back to us. Here's the instructions on how to return the money. And if you don't mind, please send us the death certificate for this person that is not, 123 years old. Yeah. Now remember, up on line A, I said over the age of 120, because there's several million at 120. There's several million at 125. There's 3.5 million people that are over the age of 130. I mean, it goes up to 180. Holy mackerel. Which doesn't make sense. Because I don't think we had past the year 19. I guess so you could be, in 1900, We didn't even have an IRS in the year 1900, I don't think. You can Google that. We'll make that extra credit for you guys out there in TV land. Or, remember, this is the Simulcast. We're transmitting this morning over 3 social networks. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live, X. Twitter Live. Yeah. Come on, Elon, get rid of this X stuff. You got X. He has a kid named X. He's got a lot of X's floating around in his life, Yeah, well. Anyway, interesting soul. He was on TV last night, politicking for a candidate in Wisconsin. Because there's a special election, because someone in Wisconsin has decided to join the Trump administration, which vacated a House of Representatives seat, I believe, in the state of Wisconsin. Or there's some other elections there having to do with the Wisconsin Supreme Court or something like that. Yeah. All right, what's going on here? We're checking out the weather. And we're going to... Let's get back down to where we are. Oops. It's amazing, huh? I'm shooting across the country. Down here in South Florida. Ooh. Let's see, there's the Bahamas. That's what that shaded area is. And that's Nassau. And Tarpon Bay. Cherokee. Treasure Cay. Freeport. Yeah, that's where you got... Look at it. It's just almost directly across the street from Delray Beach. You go right straight across, and what do you end up in? And how far would that be? Well, just so you know, if you're going across from Fort Lauderdale over to Naples, that's Highway 75, that's about 120 miles. So, if we just take my fingers and go there and go, how about this for some science? I'm a scientist. Oh, boy. Yeah, well, you have to do what you got to do. So I go over here. Yeah, that's about 100 miles. Yeah. It's a long swim, but, we expand a little bit more. So I can just spread my fingers out there and then go right here. Yeah, it's about 130 miles. And we can keep zeroing in. Freeport. There's the La Calle. We stayed in one of those hotels. Oh my God, the casino hotels are spectacular. Yeah, the Grand Bahama Island Terminal. Look at all this stuff going on. Yeah. Yeah. This is all satellite telemetry, of course. Freeport. Yeah, they got the beach. They got casinos. There's a little airstrip. I've been through there. When you're sitting, you sit outside. There's a cover, so if it's raining, you don't get wet. But it's not a closed-in area with air conditioning. No, you're sitting out there on some kind of bench. It's a little humid, because you see how that island looks like a shrimp, doesn't it? If we just or a seahorse. Yeah, I mean that would be your basic shrimp. Anyway, so that's where you sit outside waiting to see your passport. Do you have papers, sir? You hand him your passport. He looks you square in the face, like he's comparing your face to what's in the passport. We have current passports, by the way. We got them renewed. There's looks like another airstrip right there. We're going across the whole territory. Look at how the water is ripped through all these areas. Yeah. I bet. Oh, there's a cloud coming over. Yeah, right there. Yeah. We have a little bit of future radar going on. No, say 20. Yeah, that's current radar. Or within the last few minutes. But you can see how detailed the radar is. It's interesting. My Radar Pro. Oh, you got some lightning going on. Every time there's a lightning blast, this is actual traced lightning information. There's a satellite up there that actually notes exactly where the lightning struck and how many lightning blasts. Let's touch on Freeport, see if we get a weather. No, we do not. Over here we do. Yeah. Special weather statement. Valid. April 1st at 6:46 a.m. And continuing through 9 a.m. And the weather statement is patchy fog across South Florida this morning. Okay. Observations across South Florida show reduced visibility over parts of the area this morning in association with fog. Visibility will be reduced to 1 mile or less through 9 a.m. Motorists and pilots beware. Yeah. We're actually not getting the avionics version of My Radar Pro because that costs, seems like it's a sizable fee for that. Let's see. I'm going to show you right here. Going down the list. See aviation layer. Let's click that caret. Do we want to subscribe to the aviation charts? Let's just press that and see what happens. Flight plan. and we're going to check this. Aviation charts. Yep, $24.99. How about that for some memory? Yeah. See right there? So for a small fee, very useful for pilots and enthusiasts, adds aviation background maps layers, including VFR sectionals and IFR, high and low en route charts. These charts updated regularly and in line with FAA updated cycles. Coverage is limited to the United States. Now, this IFR and VFR. VFR is Visual Flight Regulations, and IFR is Instrument Flight Regulations. That's when it's raining so goddamn hard, pardon the expression, that the pilots, when they look out the window, all they see is rain, hard rain, because they're right in the middle of a rain cloud. And if you're in a plane, these smaller planes, like a Cessna 150 or 180 or something, and you don't have a pressurized cabin, you're prohibited from going over 10,000 feet because you won't have enough oxygen when you get above 10,000 feet, and you will die. You'll pass out and the plane will go into, run out of fuel and eventually crash somewhere. So, I'm being a little humorous, but also truthful. All right, so we're gonna say done. Or we're going to go back, Carrot. We're going to go back layers. And we're going to say done because we ain't doing that. Nope. We got the fronts. We got hurricane trackers on. We have weather alerts. I'm not too sure what weather outlook is. We're tracking earthquakes. It's interesting. We can go around the world and see like that 7.9 Richter thing, and they said, 3 people got injured. I told Marilyn, I said, forget that 3 people business. We're talking, so we're going to rotate around the globe. I mean, isn't the world amazing? I just love living in these times where we can actually, let's dial around the planet and see what's going on. Let's go over here to. We have a lot of wind in Australia. Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh City. Can you believe it? And I can zoom in a little tighter. Here's Sri Lanka. Here's Myanmar. There you go. This is where they had a big earthquake. And they said 3 people were injured. I don't think so. I think they just said something. I read something last night where it said, we believe there's 1,700 people dead so far in this earthquake. And I'll bet you it's more than that. Because they had a whole bunch of buildings that collapsed. Because, buildings are designed to handle vertical weight, meaning weight going down, not sideways. They don't, architects, depending on the building codes, all over the world have different codes. In the United States, being a somewhat organized society, we're rotating around the globe here, getting back to where we belong. And you can see some bad weather there. So we're coming back here where the weather is very nice. The temperature is, it's 68.7 in our little studio thing here. Yes, a little nippy in here. 60. It's, I don't know what the deal is. Even if you go into a real studio, it's 65 degrees. You wonder why these broadcasters are wearing sweaters and heavy outfits. Because their studios are, they don't want you sweating in the bright lights. Well, the difference today is the bright lights aren't hot. They're light-emitting diodes that are, would you believe, 28% efficient in producing light, and 70-something, 68% proficient in producing heat. Now, the incandescent light bulb is about 2% efficient in producing light and 98% efficient in producing heat. You put your hand up against an incandescent light bulb and you can feel the infrared heat emitting from that bulb. Try touching the bulb. You'll get a little burny on your hand. So do not touch an incandescent light bulb. I have one. I have some weird looking light bulb on top of me here. I was wondering why there's so much light on top. Let me see if I can turn that off. Don't go away. There we go. Excuse me for that. It's live TV, folks, you know. So now I have look at this. I can turn this up to, bright sun. I have it turned on right there. I can change the color temperature. But this camera has automatic white balance. So if I change the temperature, then the camera adjusts for the change in temperature so that whites continue to look white. Now this is yellow against white. This is a albuterol inhaler. Anybody that has asthma knows what this is. I don't have asthma, but I have the occasion of acute bronchitis. So when I get sick, when you blow your nose and all that kind of stuff, I end up with acute bronchitis. I can. But I watch out for it. So if I start to get a little snifflies, I start taking Sudafed. Here's my passport card, which I have inside this red silicone, and look what's on there. I better watch out or someone's going to beat me up. That is a Tesla, and you can see, if I tilt it down, you see that? There's a black card in there, and that is... Oops, sorry. I just whacked the microphone. Oh, excuse me, microphone. I am peeling off. This is like the great discovery here. So, inside this little package, what do we have? So I'm going to take everything out of here. So now when I hold this up to the light, you see there's nothing in there. What's in there? This is the key to my car. It is, as you can see, it's very thin. Now you don't slide it in anything. There's something inside of here. I have yet to have anybody tell me what. Maybe I should research that just for... I actually do not know. But you can see a little drawing on the back of the card. And that is the international drawing of tap the card on the column between the two windows in your car. So you got the front, you got the driver's side window, and then you have a column, if you're looking at the sideways on the car, and then you have the passenger behind you seat, if it's a four-door car like the Model Y is. So you just tap this on the column, and it unlocks the car. And then you just put this, you lay the car down on that console thing between the two front seats. There's a flat surface, the thing that opened up, and there's an area right by where your elbow would be. And you just put the card on there, and that basically activates all the systems in the car so that you can basically put your foot on the brake pedal and touch the D up here where it says drive, and off you go. That basically shifts the car into drive. If you had some kind of shifter, but there is no shifter. You just touch the D. Or you push the R button, and then it puts it in reverse so you can go backwards out of a parking space. Anyway, so this is the key to the car. When you buy the car, you get two of these. And you can see it is the same gauge, thickness, as your basic credit card. Actually, this is a passport card. And I believe this is a couple of them. This is like maybe a half a millimeter thicker. This is my passport card. Look at that. See? United States of America photo ID. Yeah. You can have a driver's license, or you can have so I have my photo ID, which is a passport card. I had it jointly issued when I renewed my passport, which you can do for a mere $30. There's my business card. It happens to also be it's plastic. There was a time when I financed a fellow that owned a company that makes I wouldn't say all the credit cards, but a whole bunch of credit cards. He's a credit card manufacturer, and when you apply for a credit card, or a bank or some financial institution issues you a credit card, these people manufacture the card. They get these. They used to get big mag tapes shipped to them, but now everything's electronic. So they get a file, from TD Bank, for example. They get files from like Chase Manhattan Bank, with an order to produce 28,000 credit cards, and every line item in the file is Jimmy Wilson, my address, the limit on the credit card, and this is the credit card number. They assign the number. They assign everything. And then the credit card factory, which this guy in Deerfield Beach somewhere, I think, if I remember. I should remember, because I had them. I said, if I gave you my business card, could you manufacture a bunch of business cards to me, made, with the, and the design and the size and the thickness and everything of a credit card? Wouldn't that be cool, handing out? And that's what I did. I have all my business cards made up from this credit card manufacturer. It cost me like 8 cents a piece. Yeah. I had, like 3,000 of them made. Different. I had one from my FAU business card. I think where I have one of those laying around. Anyway. So I want to put this in my pocket. I'm going to lunch at 11 o'clock today with a very good friend and business associate. We have lunches periodically at Houston's. We sit at the bar in Boca Raton on Military Trail and have a nice hour and 15-minute lunch. You can almost set your watch to the time of that lunch, because if we eat at 12, at 1:15 we're gone. Yep. It's a nice lunch. Anyway, so periodically we have lunch at Houston's, and today is one of those days. Anyway, so we don't have to look at the weather anymore, but you can see there's a lot of lightning activity going on. And I'm being truthful with you, there is a satellite. They keep track of every lightning strike. They not only wear it, but they count them. There's apparently some cloud activity here with, high altitude clouds. Get up in that 30, 40,000 foot range. You get thunderstorms, and you have a lot of updrafts and downdrafts, and a lot of lightning. Airplanes want to avoid that area. Yeah, so they're going from here to there. They're going to not go where that is. And that's one of the reasons why the satellites track, the altitude of these clouds and the lightning strike. Every strike is counted. Yep. Anyway, I should say, right where that blue dot is. And we can keep reverse pinching and keep that blue dot right over the crosshairs. You see the crosshairs right there? I'm putting that right over the blue dot, so I continue to have the blue dot in the middle of the view. Now that's as much information as this weather satellite will give you. I can't drill down any deeper than that. So that's it. So if you were flying in an airplane and you look down and you ask the pilot, pilot, how high are we? I would say this is probably, I don't fly a lot. I had pilot training. I did. One of my schoolmates in college, when I was like a sophomore or junior in college, he just became, he took tests and took training and all this stuff, flight training. So he was not just a private pilot, but he went to private pilot training school so he could be an instructor for pilots. So he just became an instructor, a private pilot instructor. He got a private pilot instructor license. I never thought about it until then. It's quite a number of years ago. 1968, 67? Do the math. It's quite a while ago. And so he came over to me. He lived in the, you have dorm rooms, right? So we're in college, sophomore, junior, and I was there's a hallway, and you got rooms on either side of the hallway. And across the hall, almost directly across from my front door to my dorm room, was this guy, young man. And he opened up his mail. You go down to the mailbox, and he stuffed it in his briefcase, backpack, or whatever. Backpacks weren't a big deal when I went to school. You had suitcases, you had business kind of a case, maybe. Which you keep your papers in and all that kind of stuff. And your books, book pack. Anyway, so he got his mail, and then he went back to his dorm room, and he started opening up his mail, and look at that, from the from the FAA. He got a letter from the FAA with a card in it, identification card with his photo ID kind of a thing. And it told him that he is a qualified private pilot instructor. And he cheers up and opens up his door, and he comes over to my room and he said, "Look at this." And I said, "What's that?" And he went to tell me, and of course you could read the card and find out, but he said, "I am a private pilot instructor as of this moment." I said, "How nice. Do you have a plane?" He says, "Yeah, I have it in the hangar. That's a 5-minute drive away from here. Do you want to be my first student?" I said, "Well, since you're a private pilot instructor, you probably know how to fly this plane pretty well, don't you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "The answer is yes. What would the fee be for such a thing? So you could actually instruct me and give me testing, and then I'd be a private pilot?" He says, "Yeah, let's have at it." I said, "Okay, what's the charge? Will there be a charge?" He said, "There'll be the only thing I ask, because you're number one." I said, "I guess so. You haven't lost any students, have you?" He says, "No, you're the first." I said, "Well, can we have it so that we don't lose me?" What will be the charge? He said, "If you'll just split the gasoline to fill the tanks in the plane, that'll be enough." And back then, I remember it cost me about $12 every time we went out and flew around, and he showed me how to take off, and he showed me how to land, and it's really quite, he taught me all about the weather. You need to, that was probably, I'm going to say 45% or 40%, maybe almost 50%. How about that? Because I didn't really count up the time, but we spent a lot of time talking about the weather, and he instructed me on this kind of cloud and that kind of cloud, and the cumulus clouds and the cirrus clouds and the cumulonimbus clouds. You don't want to fly through those. That's aka thunderstorm. And unless you want to go upside down in your airplane or a downdraft, and all of a sudden you're at 13,000 feet and whoop, all of a sudden you're at 300 feet. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So you stay out of that cloud. You got updrafts and downdrafts, and in a small airplane that could be fatal. In a big airplane, you get jounced around pretty seriously, but not necessarily fatal. Although there have been crashes, for people that flew through thunderstorms. You try to avoid those. Anyway, so every time we went out, and we went out numerous times, and it cost $12 for, so we'd drive to the airport, and then he'd get his plane out of a hangar thingy, and he would call over to have the fuel tank truck to get near our plane, and then they would do it. He'd connect the hose. The guy driving the fuel truck would take his hose out of the vehicle and plug it into our fuel tank and fill it up. And it was about a $25 charge, and we split it. So I paid $12, he paid $12 for the $24 charge. I'm making that up, but that's about how it went. So I'd give him a 10 and 2 ones, and we'd be good. He'd know what that would be, because when he brought the plane back, he could see what the fuel tank setting was, and you don't fly on empty. It's okay to be full, but you don't want to be on empty. So, and of course we never came back on empty. But it was a full afternoon, so if we drove out to the airfield at 1 in the afternoon, 12:30, something like that, we'd be back by 3 or 4 o'clock. So it was a couple hours up there in the air, maybe 2 or 3, in his Cessna 150, something like that. Wing above, most of the jets that when you go on a passenger jet, commercial airline, the wings are below, the center of gravity. So the fuselage is, the wings are attached below the fuselage as it comes, as it's connected to the fuselage. In the Cessna 150, the wings are above the fuselage. Yeah, and then attached and so forth. Yeah. Engine was in front, single propeller in front, and wing above. Yeah. Those are characteristics of, so if you want to graduate, to wing below, which is, the flight controls are different. They have the same names, but the actuators are slightly different because the center of gravity then is above the wing instead of you hanging, essentially. So if the wings are above, you're kind of like suspended from the wings as you fly. So it's it's like standing up in a canoe, that kind of sensation. So if the wing is below, when you do your controls, your ailerons and your rudder and so forth, to make turns and go up or go down, you're living in, with an airplane, you're living in a three-dimensional world of flight, as opposed to driving a car, which is a two-dimensional travel, because you're on the road with wheels, on the road, pavement, and so forth. So when you ride on the road like that, it's a lot different. It's like a wing above situation. Anyway, when you drive a car, that's two-dimensional. When you fly an airplane, that's three-dimensional, because you not only can go straight, left or right, you can go up or down, or a combination of all of the above. Yeah. So we come over here, and we can see we got a softball stadium. We have, let's come back a little bit. Yeah. Right in this area right here, we got the Boca Airport. Yeah. That's an airport. There's a runway right there. Yeah, special weather alert. You touch right on the airport, and it gives you the warnings and so forth. That all this stuff right here. This is the FAU campus right in there. Florida Junior Academy, Sandler Plaza. Yeah. Anyway, that's and there's the blue dot where Jimmy is. Yep. Right smack in the middle of the crosshairs. Right there. You touch that button right there, and do we get a weather alert? I guess not. No, it's 9:02. Remember that weather alert went on to 9:01 or 9 o'clock? Yeah, well, it's those alerts have now come down because the fog is gone, apparently, and the alert is no longer necessary. But there's the blue dot, and that's actually the location of my phone, which is right here. So that blue dot is The whole mapping system is coordinated with the exact geopositioning of this phone, because this is connected to the cell system, and that triangulates you and locates your phone. Yeah, that's one of the benefits of having a cell phone, because people can find out where you are. All right, so we can get rid of the maps. Where can we find out where we are? I have an app for that. You got an app for everything. So if there's an app. Let's see. We've had enough mapping, haven't we? All right, so the government is shelling out, here's the number, 60, they are sending out credit memos and money every month to all these people over the age of 120. $26 billion to people that are 120, 121, 122, 135. They keep sending money to these people. Now, how could that happen? Well, I can tell you how that happens. So let's say, that someone like me dies. Oh my God. And Marilyn is all upset and grieving and wearing black clothing and preparing the funerals for said husband. And oh my God, they've lived together for 55 years and he's now gone. So the surviving spouse is just, beside herself. And her children surround her and her sisters surround her in grief as they bury Jimmy. Well, in her grief, these Social Security deposits just, keep happening, on the second Wednesday and the third Wednesday of every month, for years and years and years. And her grief, and I did the tax returns for everybody, for my children and myself. I'm trying to teach them how to do it, but I keep on end up having to do it. It's really quite simple, but, are they going to go into TurboTax and actually do it? So I do it for them, and I've been doing it for them since the age of having to do it, which is like 15 or 16 or when they started making money, I think if you make less than $600 a year, you may not have to file anything. Tax tables don't go that low. So if you got a paper route and that's your source of money, you likely don't make enough money to cross the threshold of filing a tax return. Self-employment and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I do tax returns. So the grieving wife, oh my God, Jimmy's gone. They just buried him and all this stuff. Ma'am, how many death certificates would you like to have printed up? And, because they make application to the state of Florida, for example. Funeral people are required to notify the state of Florida of the deceased status of Jimmy. Ma'am, how many death certificates? So between the grieving wife and one of Jimmy's children, they say, well, could you send us 10? So when they make application to the state of Florida, notifying them of the deceased nature of Jimmy, the state of Florida then issues a death certificate to the funeral establishment, and they put that in their files, to document the death of Jimmy, and all the statistics about Jimmy and where he lived and and that goes in the file. And then you have an urn of ashes, or maybe you have a burial plot at that particular place. Yep. So then the grieving wife goes on with her life day after day without Jimmy, and you got to pick through his clothes and throw it away or give it away or whatever. Well, she forgets that the surviving spouse filing joint tax returns, you're required by law to notify the Social Security of the passing of Jimmy and the turning off of the Social Security benefit. The estate is required to notify, actually notify the Social Security Administration of the passing of Jimmy and turning off the benefits, whatever he's getting as a benefit, he's no longer entitled to because he's not with us anymore. He went to the finer place, as they say. And, the grievings, I'm circling back to how could there be 15 million people that are over the age of 120. Well, the surviving spouse forgot to tell the Social Security Administration of his passing. Now she's been living on money, spending, his benefit and her benefit. They were both on Social Security, but he's not supposed to be on Social Security if he's deceased. She forgot. She didn't know. The estate didn't know if there, some kind of big estate where someone else was the executor other than the surviving spouse. So she forgot. He's 10 years older than her, so, he died at 79 years old. I'm making this up. And she's 70 years old. So for the next 20 years, until she was 90, when she passed, so for 20 years, she's been collecting not only her Social Security benefit, which then would cease because she's no longer with us at the age of 90. I'm, of course, making all this up. This is in the world of pretend. So that's how some of these people are still in the system receiving benefits over the age of 120, because the surviving spouse or the estate failed to notify the Social Security Administration of the passing of someone that was receiving Social Security benefits. The estate or the surviving spouse is required by law to notify the Social Security Administration, because you don't get it. None of the information comes to you. Yeah. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got several cards in my pocket. One is a credit card. You saw my passport card with my Tesla car key. You don't need to do the tap the card on the. So when I valet the car, see, I give them this because your phone is your key. You're required to register, not required, but there is a convenience factor. So you would never not do this. When you get the car, the associate that delivers you the car when you go to the Tesla service station to pick up your car, in March 18th, which we did, of 2024, we showed up at 11 o'clock in the morning, and this delightful young lady shows us our car. We walk over to the car. It's in a particular parking space, and it is all cleaned and buffed. There's not a speck of dust on it. And in the windshield is this big thing, "Welcome to the world of Tesla," or something. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, there's a folding card, heavy paper, cardboard kind of thing, stuck in the windshield inside the car with our names on it. "This is your car." How nice is that? That's where they deliver the car. So you come up to your car and there's this placard inside the windshield, with "Mrs. Wilson, welcome to your new car, your new Model Y." And your name is in print right there inside the windshield with some kind of congratulatory message. Yep. So that's how you get your car. Anyway, and when you get your car, she puts that card on the console thing right underneath your elbow. There's a real flat spot, so it's not part of something that opens this way or that way. You just place it right there. Just put it right down there, right where your elbow would be on the on the console between the front seats, and that activates the car. It notices that card is there. There's not a mag strip on it. There's some frequency generated out of that card. When it gets close to the car, you touch it on the column. You don't actually have to tap it. You can just take the card and slightly put it next to the column, and it'll unlock the car. When you get out of the car, you put it back on the column, and it'll lock the car. But the but is that when you go to the dealership, your Tesla dealer service center, where your car has been transported from Austin, Texas, the factory of the Model Y, in the software, they say, when you look at some videos, they say, your phone is your key. Your phone is your key. They must say that 55 times in this video you watch. Your phone is your key. And what they mean is, you go to the App Store and you pick up, you have loaded in your phone the Tesla app, and it happens to be right here. See, there's a little red T down there. Press T, then your phone is your key. I can show you on this screen right here. There it is. Right on the top. Model Y. My phone number with Wilson. 561-416-1100. That's you dial that and this thing rings. Hello. Ouch. I just banged my headphones there. Yep. And it tells me there's a software update ready to be loaded in the car. All we have to do is say yes, download. But I have to be connected to the Wi-Fi for a little bit more. We're about 90% loaded with that software. Where is the car? See location? I can press that. And there's a little dot showing precisely where it is in the parking lot. See, it's in that parking place. Right there. You see that? That's it. That's actually a photograph of a prior year when Marilyn's car was in that. She parks in the same exact spot every time. And that's the Seacoast Bank. And that's the black Tesla sitting right in that spot. Now that gives you an idea how current these maps are with the Google. I think they're Tesla's using Google Maps to locate your car, and it is exactly at 2300 Glades Road. Anyway, so this is the Tesla app. You go all the way down to the bottom, and you can see Model Y dual motor. Below that, the odometer reading, 6,878 miles. That's it. And we've had the car for 1 year and 12 days. Because we got it on the 18th of March, right? Yeah. This is April 1st, so we just finished March. And you can see I'm on software version 12, 2025.2.8 to be exact on what the software version is we have in the car. And there's a new version, 25.8.4. Well, between the dots, 2025, if you're looking at that number, the next dot is the second week of 2025, and then that's the 8th version of the software that was produced probably in Fremont, California, where the software engineers are for the car. I think they're in Fremont. So in the car, the software version is 2025, the second week, and the 8th version of the software, with a hexadecimal check digit there on the software version. But down up here, it says software update. So they're about ready to load a new software package into the car where they've done some things. And what did they do with the software? Here they tell you exactly. See? 2025 8.8.4. So that would be the 8th week. And the .4 means the 4th version of the software when we in the factory are working on the software. This is the 4th update. They don't send out an update every little bit. I'll get another one, to be 2025.12.1. About every 3 or 4 weeks, they update the software. And what did they do? Well, they had minor fixes. You can see that, minor fixes, right below 25.8.4. This release contains minor fixes. That one does. And here's 25.8. We have minor updates as opposed to minor fixes. And what was that update? All right, in the last 10 miles, 100 miles, or 200 miles of your driving, the computer in the car is going to calculate and store the energy usage in the consumption page of your software package, which is all in your computer system. And with the option, you can clear the history. You go to the app launcher, go to the energy app next, and then the consumption page, the first row. So that's they did something with that. And then the next thing they did, because you see a little dot there, you got little dots, 3 dots, one here, one here, one here. You keep going. There's a 4th dot. So what have they done? The first row cabin sensing system has been updated to use the cabin radar. There's radar in the cabin determining who's sitting where, not necessarily by name, but the driver. If you approach the car, your phone is your key. But when you get within about 14 feet of the car, which is right just short of the bumper, so you're coming up behind the car, the system is sensing your phone. Your phone is being sensed all the time, from the towers that are controlling your cell system, and your cell phone is noticed by the cell system, your actual geo position. Well, the car senses all this going on with your phone, and there's a Bluetooth signal that then connects your phone to the car, and it knows who you are. It repositions the seat so that it's set for you, as opposed to another driver, like your wife, for example. And she has the app in her phone. So she comes up behind the car to get into the car, or comes up in any direction to come get the car. She walks up to the car, or I do. Let's pretend I am. Since I'm getting ready to, and it unlocks the car automatically as you start to approach the car. You can have it so it unlocks all the doors, or you can have it that it unlocks only the driver's side. And then when you get in, you just get in the car, and your phone can be in your pocket. You don't have to put the phone anywhere in particular. You can keep it in your briefcase. It'll sense your phone in the briefcase, or in your pocket or in your hand. It doesn't matter. So when you get within about 14 feet of the car, it'll unlock. It'll know, oh, this is Jimmy's phone. So all the seating and the, you want the steering wheel up or down or in or out, So when you get the car, you position the car with regard to how you like the seat. It needs to be, back a couple more inches because I got long legs. You could be a short-legged person, and it'll set itself up so that the car may open all the way, the hatchback, unlock for you, and then you just underneath lift it up, and the thing electronically opens up the back of the car, the hatchback, so you can put in your grocery bags if you choose to want to do that. If you don't go and actually physically touch a certain button right near where the license plate is, and you just lift gently up on the back of the car, and the whole thing opens up, and then you can put your groceries in there, and there's a button you push, and that brings it back down and locks itself securely. So, but your phone is your key, so when you approach the car, there's a Bluetooth signal that's sent that operates within the car. And when I mean operate, I mean it'll do whatever its purpose is, but in addition to that purpose, it notices you and your phone. More particularly, it notices your phone because your phone is your key. And it'll then set up, the Wi-Fi connection between you and your car, and the whole system of, the other million things. And when you have a performance or something inside the stadium, they go through this portal that I go through and get approved. So that's a little glimpse into how that works. So there you go. You got the phone, I got the car. I just leave that away, it doesn't matter. The other thing is you can touch. Let's get out of this software thing. See, it says 203 miles. I can touch that. It's 71%. My tank is 71%. Or 29% empty. It is 71% full. Full of, in this case, electricity. Because it's an electric car. 100% electric. And that energy that's in that tank, I use this vernacular because we are transitioned from a gasoline fuel tank to an electric fuel tank. You see, that's why I use fuel tank. I'm not saying gas tank, because it's not gas anymore, it's electrons. It is this energy that's in the battery, and it will propel the car for 203 miles, and then it will be out of energy. That's what's going on there. And you can see on here, the last time I charged the car, we charged it to 90%, added 22 kilowatts. You have to start getting used to kilowatts. You don't have to. You've heard this thing in miles per gallon and all this kind of stuff. This is kilowatts, per mile, and I think we use about slightly less than 2 kilowatts per mile. 2 kilowatts per mile, yeah. And there's 75 in other words, if this tank was empty, this fuel gauge was empty, and we charged it all the way up to 90%, it would say, 280 kilowatts. It would say 280. That would be a fill up from empty. But you never charge it to empty. Anyway, so we charged it to 90% where that white dot is. And this is how much fuel is in the tank. You see the green line. If it was full, it'd be all the way over. But it's not full. We filled it to 90%. However, since then, she's been driving, as she is today, for example. She drove to work, and now she tells me she's going to go out to lunch with somebody, a client. And she needed the car today, so she could attend her lunch appointment. And let's see. So connect to Wi-Fi to get the new release. I can look at my live cameras. You want to do that just so I can? Yeah. So here you see that little thing that's going in circles up there. It is contacting the car, and there's where it's parked. And I think so you can see the 4 different. There's a silhouette of the car. You got the front camera, you got the sides and the rear. She doesn't back in the spaces. She parks nose in. So you can see on the left, and if they were going to get in their car, this camera sees. It shoots this, like every couple of seconds, creates an entry. So let's look at the rear of the car. So if I touch the rear dot on the very bottom of this thing, you see the dots. So I'm going to hit the rear dot. So that's a full screen mode. So you can see shrubs. There's no reverse, forward or reverse pinching. So I can go to the front camera. Let's see what's. There you go. So the rear camera is the hedge. So she did back into the parking place, because that's the rear camera, and there's a tree, a recently planted little tree. So let's do the front camera, and you can see the building. There's a street, there's 3 cars in the video. She backed into her spot, so there she is. I mean, not in person, but the camera then is now viewing the building, and she would walk over to the right on this picture, and then go right underneath that opening and turns left into her suite of offices as the branch manager of Seacoast Bank. But you see how the car can see that from the parking lot. So if anyone was going to pull out and drive away, you'd see that on the screen. This is a live feed. If I touch this button, So that shows you the 4 views again. And if I touch this, it'll cycle around. So let's see. Do I get a view? Yeah, there you go. So there's a view out of that camera. There's the other car that's sitting next. So anyway, you can see the camera's live view. Crazy, huh? So if someone vandalizes your car, you can see exactly who it is. They better be masked up pretty good. Because it'll trip this Sentry mode that's on with the car. See Sentry mode enabled, and there's like a red dot on a camera looking thing. Well, that's what this is all about. On the very bottom, I can honk the horn, I can flash the headlights, I can actually open up a microphone and talk to whoever might be looking in the window of my car. Yeah, so it tripped one of these cameras. So unless someone is, if someone is going bipsic on your car, it'll trip the sensory system around the car, and it would start recording whatever you're doing with my car. Get away from my car. Anyway, so if I touch this button right here, it goes back to the 4 views, front, back, left, and right. And the quality is pretty good, as you can see. Like in this view right here, you can see the detail on the wheels. Yeah, see this? You can almost see what let's see what that logo is on this wheel hub. Yeah. That's I can honk the horn, flash the lights. You can fart. Look at that. The third button is fart. Elon is nuts. He put fart in there. So you can be standing next to the car and the car will go. I mean, that's the kid in Elon Musk. He is like a little boy. On this little screen right here, I can lock and unlock the car. I mean, Marilyn can call me on the phone. She says, Jimmy, I'm trying to use the car, but I put the car up on the console thing there. You put it on this pad up here on the console, and it'll charge the phone for you. So and it connects with the system, the audio system, so you can make a speakerphone call. Using your phone cell system, you can dial people from the address book that's in your car, because when you set up the car, you said, it would be fine to have your address book downloaded into the car. And why would you do that? Because that way you can make phone calls. Because I can say to the car, call Jimmy, and it'll automatically activate the phone and call my cell phone. Anyway, so she calls me from the bank. She says, Jimmy, I locked my phone in the car. Can you unlock the car for me? And I would just touch that little lock thing there, and I would unlock the car. I can do it right now. I'm going to unlock the car right now. Unlock command failed for some reason. Okay. There it is. Now it's open. So you can see the lock is open. So the car is unlocked now. Someone can get in there and sit in the car. They wouldn't be able to do anything with it, because since the phone is your key, well, maybe her phone is in there, so maybe they could drive away. Whoop. I haven't tested that. I guess if someone sat in there, they could drive off with the car because their phone's in there, and that's like having the keys to the car laying right there. But electronically, she has activated her phone, when you get the car, you sync it up with the very low energy Bluetooth system of the car and your phone. So by the Bluetooth frequency spectrum, that's what's noticing your phone approaching the car, because the car is trying to sync itself with your phone, which it does. And then when you start to get in the car, the seats and everything position themselves to the way that you liked it. When you set up your steering wheel and your seat up, back, forward, back, up, or down, you get 4 different settings that you can do with your seat. I think I have it up all the way and down, back a little bit, and the steering wheel all the way in. Because you can move the steering wheel in or out, depending on whether you want it in or out. I have it all the way in. And then I move my seat up so that I have the proper length of your arm reach. All those settings you set up when you get the car, or any time thereafter. And then when you approach the car, all those settings get activated to position the steering wheel and the seat exactly as you had it. And, you don't have to do anything other than just get in the car. Because it recognizes your phone. And it says, Marilyn is coming. Let's get the seat setting, to make her comfortable in the car. You can set the climate. I have, see where it says climate right there in the middle? Interior temperature is 95 degrees. Even though it's 74 degrees outside, the windows are closed up, so it doesn't rain in the car if it happens to rain. So we have a climate. Interior is set at 95. I'm going to touch this button now and see what happens. So it shows you the internal temperature of the car. It's at 96 interior, and the exterior is 81. You can see that with there's 2 sensors, one inside, one outside. It's 81 degrees outside. It's 96 degrees inside. Now I have it set for, see right here, cabin overheat protection. It is on, and it will activate the air conditioner when it gets up around 95 degrees, which is now actually. So it should come on very soon. Go see, it says 96. Yeah, it was plus or minus a couple of degrees. And the system will come on automatically to keep the cabin. It won't get to 100 because it's set at 95. I think there's 3 settings, yeah. You can have it so it won't allow, let's change that to 90, since the internal temperature is 96. And we'll just slow around here for a second. I've set the temperature control at 90 and it's 96, so that should start to ventilate the car. I believe it'll ventilate the car, just by taking the hot air out. So you can upgrade the software. You can, you can install upgrades, a software update. You can buy stuff. You can buy the this adds the software for $100 a month, $99 a month. You can rent the software if you want to. Because who wants to pay, $10,200 for software? Amazing. All right, enough of the iPhone training. We go back to our picture display here. All right, so I put this together. $26 billion a month we're paying to Social Security beneficiaries that are over the age of 120, 125, 130. They all are in this category. Everything 120 and over. They've looked at the spreadsheets and the summary of the actual payments that are actually going out. There's 15 million people over the age of 120. And I just explained to you how one of them, you remember the grieving wife story? Yeah, she just forgot. She doesn't do tax returns. She doesn't really follow this, stuff. I just did it for her. But I'm not here anymore. I passed away. So then now she's, she hasn't figured out how to do a tax return yet. And she didn't realize she was the one that had to turn off my Social Security benefit. I can't turn it off because I'm not here anymore. I went up to the better place, as they say. Yeah, well, someone has to turn it off. It's fraudulent for you to keep getting the benefits and spending the money. That's supposed to be for other beneficiaries that are alive. You're not supposed to collect it when you're dead. That's not legal. That's not the way it works. You're required by law to turn it off. Well, there are 15 million people that there are 15 million estates, assuming there's no one over the age of 20, 120 really. So there's 120 people or estates that are receiving benefits. And until they turn it off, they're going to keep getting the benefits. So if I were me, I say me, turn off, stop paying. Yeah. Everyone is exercised with this AI. I guess because now you have the ability to use AI for whatever you want. See, I'm familiar with AI just generally because a long time ago I was a coder. And the people that are coders, they actually create this artificial intelligence. I touch this software package in this. You can see on the picture on the right side of your screen, I have my finger touched against the iPad, and I'm jiggling this picture that's being viewed on my iPhone. So I can jiggle. There I am, jiggling it. And I can go to the next story just by flipping my thumb. I go to the next story. Trump is a piece of work. He likes, as one of the talking heads on the Fox News last night said, Trump loves to hand a snake in the can snakes in the can. You got a can full of snakes. And Trump hands it to the media, and they just go wild over it. Trump is seeking a third term. He's not seeking a third term. He just throws that out there to see what the media will do with it. Unless there's a constitutional amendment, was amendment number 21, I think, if I remember right, is where it says in the Constitution, I happen to have a copy of it right here. So let's see. I can go back here to the amendments. This is the complete Constitution and the amendments. So there's Amendment 18, 19, 20, 21. No, it's not Amendment 21. Let's go. I'm reading it. It doesn't. Aha! Amendment 20. Studio engineer, will you turn the lights up a little bit? There we go. It's too dark in here to read this thing. The term of the president and the vice president shall end on noon on the 20th day of January. Congress. It sure looks like the 20th Amendment should have been done. No, that's anything else. Aha. I'm sorry, it's the 22nd Amendment. I happen to see number 22 right there. Amendment 22. This is the entire Constitution, all the amendments. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. There you go. I mean, it's right there in English language, So it gives you all the exactitudes of what they mean by that. This article was proposed by Congress and shall not prevent any person. You're allowed to be president for 2 terms. And unless you change the 22nd Amendment to say 3 terms, change the 2 to a 3, but you would have to amend the Constitution to do that. And then there would be a 27th Amendment, or the 28th Amendment. There is a 27th Amendment. No law. Oh, this has to do with compensation for senators and representatives. No law varying, meaning changing the compensation for the services of senators and representatives shall take effect, until the election of the representatives. So they could pass a law today, for example, that says we're going to give you guys 10% raises. Well, it shall not take effect until after they're elected. Like it'd be 2000. Every 2 years there's an election for representatives. So 2026 would be the next formal election of the House of Representatives, and 1/3 of the senators will be all of the House of Representatives are elected every 2 years, every one of them. They serve 2-year terms, and every 2 years there's another election. Well, if now, let's say literally today, on April 1st, of 2028. 2025, sorry. What year is this? Who am I? Anyway, the compensation that they passed by the majority vote of the Congress, we are going to increase our salaries by 10%. Well, then all the population, which is me, would be knowing that. And in 2026, when the representatives get reelected, in November of 2026, you could not elect that congressman because you're mad at them because you shouldn't have given yourself $10,000 raises. So, some big chunk of the House of Representatives, could not be reelected because they're Democratic. You got Republicans and Democrats, right? Someone's running against you every time there's an election. Rarely would the seat be just open for the one person that's running for it. They're usually, the other party always puts someone up for election, even if it's a jackass. Yeah. Anyway, so the 22nd Amendment says, naughty mustn't do. You can't be a president for more than 2 terms. Whether there was a period of time between the terms or not, and one other time, I believe it was Grover Cleveland, was elected. He ran for he was president for 4 years, just like Trump was, from 2020 to 2024. He was not president. But from 2016 to 2020, he was president. So Biden was president just until this November election. And then they elected Trump again because he ran again. And this time he won against Kamala Harris and Waltz, her running mate. Anyway, so Trump is always throwing out there a can of worms saying someone says he's going to try to run for a 3rd term. I don't think. Well, no, it would require it would require an amendment to our Constitution, and which that could happen. I'm not saying it absolutely wouldn't happen, but is he really behind the scenes preparing for a 3rd term? And preparing all the memoranda that has to get distributed to all the Congress people, all the people of the, we would want to see the actual amendment that he's seeking to have adopted by the populace. So, in theory, he would be running if he got the constitutional amendment signed by all the states, and I believe that's the requirement, then Congress would reconvene and say, hey, we've got a super majority of the states. So you need 31 states to go along with this. And they would be contacted with the legal ability that each state has to approve this amendment to the Constitution, permitting someone to run and hold office for a 3rd term, either contiguously. To imagine if someone won 2028 and then he got back for a 3rd term in office in 2030. Whoa! Wow. 2028 to 2032. That would be a kick in the pants. He's just throwing that out. It's like Jonathan Turley said last night. when the media person asked Jonathan Turley, a constitutional scholar in Washington, D.C., who teaches at, some of the best law schools in the country, but in particular George Washington University. And he's a constitutional scholar, I think would be, an appropriate term for him. He's not just a professor of digital imaging like I am. I actually am. I am, you are. He sees. Stop. Yep, so that's the story there. All right. We're coming on, you can see, an hour and 56 minutes. I told you about the 15 million. Ooh. Good morning. This is what my phone presented me this morning at 7:03. It says, good morning. It's going to be mostly sunny today. It's currently 72 degrees, and the high today will be 84. And you can see it is, exactly 72 degrees at 7:03 this morning when my phone gave me. And look at the little car thing. It shows that it's about 3/4 full. If you look at that graphic right there, that's actually getting information from my car saying that's how full your tank is. It doesn't tell you the miles, but I could touch that button. I can't now because this is just an image of that button. But as that presented me with that, I could actually touch that, and then it would tell me how many miles of range I got. And it tells me, hey, I got to plug it in, or I have plenty of energy for my trips today. And you can see I have an order coming from Amazon, that little Amazon arrow. I can touch that and it'll go right to the order page. And I can go to Amazon right here, fast demonstration. I press me, the me button, and I can see, and I'll press my orders. And what's going on with this thing? It's been shipped, and I touch it's shipped by UPS. I can touch the UPS number right there, and I can say, look it up. It's looking it up. I'm not a robot. Tracked by UPS. Oh my God. There it is. It says it's on the way as of 4:09 a.m. And it says the package has departed the Easton, Pennsylvania UPS facility, and it's on the way. And I can go to the top here, and it says it will arrive on April 3rd, sometime between noon and 4 p.m. Sometime between 12:30 and 4:30 p.m. That replacement coffee maker, because ours is on the fritz, it was shipped from Ocean City, New Jersey to Boca Raton. The box and everything weighs 10 pounds. They pack it well, apparently. So I can just leave that page in the background and refer to it over the next couple of days to make sure it's going to be an on-time delivery. Whoops. This is my messages. Anyway, so get rid of that. That's the Amazon progress report. I don't need that, because I can just go right to UPS. And there we go. So I have two things in the background operating on this iPad. And we'll go to the photos, the images. And here's Marilyn's message for the day. May the first day of April bring it with much peace, love, joy, passion, and purpose into your life. That's Marilyn's message sent out this morning. At 7:56 a.m. this morning. See the exit data? There you go. This was sent out at 7:56 this morning. Wishing everybody much peace, love, joy, passion, and purpose into your life. And there we go. Thank you very much for that piece of wisdom. Apparently, Greenland was not happy. Well, anyway, a Danish leader is saying that, how could you speak to us like that? That's what's... this is Zach Anderson is saying this. He's a USA Today reporter. And you see in this lower left-hand corner, so says Zach Anderson from Top Stories, that was written in usatoday.com. So you can go, I don't believe you. Yeah. I'm looking over here at this delayed broadcast, and the GOP is considering legislation to prevent these federal judges from controlling foreign policy. That's not their role. These judges, some of them are appointed, not elected, and they're not supposed to be conducting foreign policy. So the GOP is considering legislation to quantify that a little bit, and trying to wheel in, if you will, some of these judges that are interfering with Trump, deporting all these bad guys that illegally jumped our border over the last 4 years of the prior presidency. They basically welcomed all this infiltration of people, and handing them out cell phones and debit cards, which they keep funding, like $1,000 a month into millions of debit cards that were handed to these illegals. You wonder why there's inflation. Where'd that money come from? Well, we borrowed it, because since we have a deficit that's growing, it means we're taking in less money than we're spending. Every time you get a paycheck, there's a TTL deposit that goes into the feds. So if you're wondering, where all this money's coming from, before you actually file your tax return, let's say if you owe $1,000, you're supposed to send that money in as you file your tax return. Yeah. There you go. There's a picture of someone that is lousing up a Tesla car, and he just drew pictures on the car as he walked by. But the camera caught it, and they can give that clip to the police, and they'd go arrest that guy and basically fine him for mistreatment of a car that you're parked next to. That's terrible. How stupid is that, right? Elon Musk is not elected to do anything. He was appointed by Trump to conduct audits of some of these agencies. Now, the results of that audit and the recommendations are then adopted or not adopted. as far as how you behave. So Elon can't do anything, actually. He just recommends to the president, we need to do this and we need to do that, and we need to stop funding these 15 million people that are over the age of 120. We should just stop all those checks. Well, the executive office of the president is the one, the Department of Justice, which is under Trump, that's under Trump's administration. He's the one that just put Pam Bondi as the Attorney General of the United States. And they and she sees to cause litigation of the matter. And, anyway, so that's AI agents are coming for your jobs. That's another one of those Forbes stories. Everyone's all agitated about AI and what it's going to do to everybody. Well, remember, people program this stuff. So people can also program it not to interfere with your life. I mean, that's all a coding situation. And the coder can form, these AI chaps to have or not have any kind of authority. And I can assure you that so far we're not giving it any anyway. That's what's going on there. SpaceX is getting ready to launch some people, and it will be the first human space flights flying around the Earth's polar regions. So that it's cycling, looking, it's floating up there in space in a certain geosynchronous orbit. And they wanted it stopped. Anyway, all right, folks. You all have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow about probably around 8:15. You have a great day, and we'll talk about whatever comes to mind. This is like us being at a coffee shop, and we're just carrying on a chat, and you guys can call me on the phone, and I have my iPad with me, and I'm just looking at some of the stories that are popping up with Elon. Yeah. I read somewhere where Elon he'll have completed his Doge efforts sometime in May. He'll be stepping, remember, the President of the United States has asked him to conduct audits under some of these agencies, which he's done, and which he's doing, I should say. And he will have completed all his work with Doge when it, at about May. They've done preliminary studies, I don't think they're completed, with the Social Security Administration, and apparently there are 15 million people getting benefits over the age of 120. How could that happen? Well, that's part 2 of this investigative thing, and the administrator of the Social Security is a person, and his staff will either have to justify why people 120 and older are getting benefits. I mean, including 130-year-olds and 135-year-olds. You go through every 5-year tranche over 120, and there are millions of people You add it all up, and it's 15 million people. And they're getting $26 billion a month funded. That needs to stop. I don't think we have anybody over the age of 120. I think that's the next step. But see, Elon doesn't do that. It's the administrator of the Social Security who will do that. He's just recommending that this stops. But the Department of Justice would be filing whatever is necessary to file to stop the funding of everybody over 120 and 110 or whatever. Nobody that has been deceased, nobody that is deceased should be receiving Social Security benefits. End of the story. Including those over 120. All righty. You all have a great day. I'm going to give you another blast of epidemic instrumental. Bye-bye.
It's 10:15.